welcome to this video tutorial where I'm going to show you how to work the Clover Blossom. That's a very special stitch that I designed specifically for the Clare square. We have it in part 4 in the Clare square, and this is what it looks like in the chart. So there are two ways to work the Clover Blossom, either with these legs here worked into a stitch behind which we have a DCBB so that this stitch stays free, or the top loops of this stitch stay free, or we work it in a front loop. So either we work a single crochet in the back loop here so that we have this front loop free, or we could also work as a single crochet in the back loop of this stitch here. So that would also give us the free front loop here. I'm going to show you both versions, and I've set up a little swatch where I created this situation here. So we are in this round already. So I had the stitch here, then I worked the DCBB in the next round, and then I worked a single crochet in the back loop on either side of that DCBB. And here I worked a single crochet in the back loop only, which left me this front loop here. Then in the next round, which is this one, so in this round I worked a single crochet in the back loop. In this round I worked a back loop, single back loop, so that the free front loops are on either side of this free front loop. Okay, so let's just begin. I'm going to start here in that corner, which I haven't worked properly. I do apologize. So I'm going to work until I am directly above this middle stitch here. So on this side of the swatch, I'll be working until I'm here. So I'm ending just before that single crochet here in the middle. And now I'm going to work that Clover Blossom. So you can see that the first leg and the second leg, they will both be worked in the same free front loop. The third leg and the fourth leg on both sides here are also worked in the same front loop, just one round below. So here we go 1, 2 rounds below, and in the middle we go 1, 2, 3 rounds below. So this stitch was made 3 rounds below this one here where we're working now. Same here. And the first leg is a treble. You see that it has those 2 bars. The second leg in the same front loop is worked as a double treble, and this is all US terms. And the third and fourth leg are both triple trebles, so we yarn over 4 times. And then we go back to the double treble with 3 yarn overs, and then to the treble, and these 2 are worked in the same front loop again. So let's do that. So we start with a treble in the front loop of the stitch that is 2 rounds below. This front loop is part of this stitch that was made here. And looking at the swatch, that would be this front loop. So we'll leave that first leg unfinished. Now our second leg in the same front loop is going to be a double treble. So we've got the 3 times yarn over, and we work it in the same front loop. Then the next 2 legs are worked in either that stitch, on this side it's that stitch, on the next side it would be the free front loop. So we yarn over 4 times. And I'm just grabbing the top loops of this stitch here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, same stitch in the same top loops. So now, by now I've got 5 loops on the hook, and again I'm yarning over 3 times only, because now I'm working this stitch here. So I go into the front loop of the stitch that is 2 rounds below the next stitch. So this is always the next stitch. The stitch we're working is always the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. And now the last is yarn over twice for the treble in the same front loop in which we made the 5th leg. 1, 2. So by now you should have 2, 4, 6, 7 loops on the hook. Now what we're going to do is we yarn over and pull through all of those loops, and we also close it with a chain 1. So now what's important is to skip only this one stitch that is behind the clover blossom we just made, and then we continue to work, and I'm going to work single crochet in the next stitch. What happens then is that this clover blossom is getting 3-dimensional. You can see that how far it comes forward. If you want it a bit flatter, you can still just push it down, or you push it down this way later on. When you block it, if you block it, it will still be 3-dimensional and have quite a good substance to it. So let's work it one more time. And now we're going to work in the front loop only. So I'm going to find my stitch, find my last stitch, which is the one before the stitch that is between those 3 front loops. You see here are those 3 front loops, and this is where I'm going to make my clover blossom. So yarn over twice for the treble, and I'm going 1 stitch back and 2 rounds below. 1 round below, 2 rounds below the next stitch. This is the next stitch, the stitch that replaces the working into this stitch. So we're not working into this stitch, we're replacing it with this clover blossom. You go 1 back, 2 down. Yarn over twice and pull through twice. We've got 2 loops on the hook. Now we work 3 yarn overs. We're going in the same 3 front loop. 1, 2, 3 times. Yarn over and pull through. Now we're going 1, 2, 3, 4 times yarn over, and we're going in the next 3 front loop, which is 1 round below that one. So 3 rounds down. It's directly below the next stitch. 1, 2, 3 rounds down. We go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we do the same thing again. Yarn over 4 times, same front loop. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to the next 3 front loop, and we go 1 round up again and 1 stitch ahead of the next stitch. So that is where we find our next 3 front loop. 1, 2, and 3, and our last, I'm sorry, I've got cat hair everywhere, and our last leg is yarn over twice for the treble, the same front loop as the last leg, and we go through 1, 2. So now we've got our 7 loops on the hook, 2, 4, 6, 7, so that's correct. We yarn over and pull through all of those 7 loops and we close with a chain 1. And then again we only skip 1 stitch and we continue to work in the next. And that way we get a very plastic, very 3-dimensional stitch here. So that is how you work the Clover Blossom. So now we are in the next round. After we made this Clover Blossom, I'm going to show you where to, or your options, how to continue after making this Clover Blossom. So there are several ways what you can do. First, I've been working up until the stitch just before this Clover Blossom, and the next stitch that I could make is a DCBB in the top loops of the stitch that we skipped in the previous round. So that would be one option, just working a double crochet behind and below, actually 2 rounds below that Clover Blossom stitch, and then just continuing with single crochet or whatever you work afterwards. Another option would be to work in these loops, which are the normal loops of the Clover Blossom. Remember that the Clover Blossom has 2 loops. One is that what was on the hook before we worked this Clover Blossom, and the other, which is usually a bit smaller and a little bit tighter, is the closing chain. So if I'm going to work into the normal loop here, I have to make sure to skip this closing chain and continue in the next stitch. If I'm going to work into, let me just go back here. If I want to work into the closing chain, because that's something that you like to do to make it a little bit tighter and to pull it to that side, you would have to skip the normal loops and just work into this closing chain. So that's another option. And the 4th option, and maybe you can come up with even more, the 4th option would be to work a front post single crochet. So you just insert your hook from front to back and then to front again, so that the hook is behind all those legs, and you've got, see, those 3 bars here that are on top of the hook. So you work that front post single crochet, or you could make a front post half double crochet if you want to, and then continue. So that would make this Clover Blossom a bit, it would give him a tip, this stitch, and depending on the effect that you want to achieve, maybe this is what you want to go for. You know that clover is really, it's really a tight flower, that especially when it's a bud that's just about to blossom, then it's quite tight. So maybe the front post single crochet is what you want to do, which is also the option that I went for here. Or maybe you just want to do the DCBB, very simple, in order to give the stitch a little bit more dimension and to push it a little bit further forward. That would leave you the option to work into either or both of those top loops here later on in an even later round, and maybe connect it or do even more with it. So there are several options how you can work this stitch, or how you can work the round after this stitch. Just choose the one that you prefer, and then you're good to go. And now that you know how to work it, I hope you incorporate it in your work. I hope it is helpful to crochet Claire when you see it in the chart, when you see this symbol in the chart here for the Clover Blossom, or when you come across it in the description. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. That's always great to see that you get something out of these tutorials. And subscribe. It's a very cool thing. Then you get automatically notified when I upload another tutorial. And I will be working to make this in a PDF as well, and there will also be a website with the photo tutorial for this stitch. So enjoy, and yeah, let other people know about the Petranese, which is the image overlay crochet way of describing stitch placements. And I see you in one of the next tutorials or the next patterns. Take care.